Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Today, our topic is albums everybody hates, but we love them or like them. So, my name is Alex. This is,
I'm Oliver. Hi.
and we are the Rock Kaput team. And let's get into it. Why don't you start, Oliver, with your first
Okay.
pick?
So the first one I have is, I guess, kind of an obvious pick. I think many rock fans would choose this album. In the last couple of years or decades, I think that its reputation has gotten a bit better as more time has passed after its release, and people had time to get into it, and the shock from when it first came out has softened. It's the infamous "The Elder" by Kiss. Um, when I got it, and I knew Kiss from my childhood, from the pop magazines from my uncle, the images of them. But I listened to them, or started listening to them rather late, and I bought these all their albums, I think, in the 2000s, and I already knew about what this album was, and it's yeah, and what people thought about it. And I also had read a review of someone who was pretty mild on it and said, well, it was kind of misunderstood when it came out, but actually it's pretty good. So I came to it knowing what to expect, and so that wasn't a shock for me, and I liked it right from the start. Um, the story behind it, I guess most people know it. Kiss were at the end of their masked area in the early 80s or late 70s. When did it come out? I'm kind of blind. Was it 81 or something like that? I don't know. Um, so they were planning kind of to make this. This should have been a soundtrack, but they composed it before there was a film, and obviously the album flopped hard, and so there never was any film going with it. It's so it's kind of a concept album. It has this fantasy story going through it, and it's very cinematic. Um, there are almost no harder rock songs that you would expect from Kiss, so it's all more proggy and symphonic. Um, and of course, coming from this band, it maybe it's a bit forced, and it doesn't seem that natural for them. But I think it's a pretty interesting album, and for the most part, for me, it works. It has some beautiful compositions on there, some great songs. Actually, I like the more rocking sounds the least on this one, and yeah, I think. The opinion on this one has shifted a bit. So today it's not that rare to find people kind of defending it, but it's still an obvious outlier in their catalog. But if you're into prog, this might be the album you might like in the Kiss discography. If you think that their usual style is too I don't know, too simple or too rocky or something like that, then this might be the album for you. So The Elder would be my
Hmm.
first pick.
Ah, interesting. Okay, who's playing lead guitar on this one?
Ace.
Ace still. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Wow.
yeah.
Oh, very cool. So it was his last album with Kiss,
Um,
or
yeah,
one of
I
the
think so.
latest,
I'm
at least.
I always in this time period. I always get confused which album came first, and so it was kind of between their heyday and their unmasked phase, and I always I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay.
too sure in that phase.
Okay. Good. So my first pick is Queen, and it is Queen have some albums that are despised by fans. Most fans prefer their probably all all of them prefer the 70s era to the 80s era. And in the 80s, they had a few missteps. Some would say Hot Space is often discussed, but it has its fans. I also like it quite a bit. I own it on vinyl. But my pick today is A Kind of Magic because it's super poppy. I agree. It's not really much of a rock album, but I was introduced very early on to it when I still was a kid, and a friend of mine also had the Live Magic album, and all those songs were featured on it. Yeah, and I love the title track. I think I love the composition. Yeah, it's a pop song and a radio staple, but it's great, and it has many more great tracks. I even love the Highlander stuff, Princess of the Universe, and Who Wants to Live Forever. Um, I think yeah, it's not the rocking artsy Queen. It's more the 80s pop Queen, but still great Queen. So I love the album.
Yeah, I like the songs from Highlander as well. I mean, I knew the movie. It was one of my staples as a kid. When I recorded it from television to VHS and watched that I don't know how many times, and I thought the songs were really working well for that movie, and so
Yes,
I kind of inhaled them. But it's not a complete soundtrack. So there's just a couple of songs that are
yes,
for the film. Okay.
yes, right. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Yeah, so I think 5 songs maybe are from the film, and the rest
Mm.
is from are Queen tracks, Queen album tracks.
But it was successful, wasn't it?
It was quite successful. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in
Yeah.
retrospect, and in Queen rankings, it's among the last 5 for most people, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we might get back into that phenomenon because I think it has something to do with like the shift from the 70s to the 80s, and I have a couple of records that fall in this category.
Yes,
Um, yeah, I have this might also be not that surprising. It's an album that always comes up in lists of kind of disappointing releases, disappointing albums. So albums that followed a huge success and then got a kind of lukewarm response. I don't think that fans of the band do think that badly of this album. I would wonder if they do, but still, it's the third album by Oasis, Be Here Now. It came after their huge success with What's the Story, Morning Glory, which had all the hits like Don't Look Back in Anger and Wonderwall were probably the two most prominent on there. But there were other huge hits. And then they released this one. And when you read reviews, either from the time or reviews that, yeah, kind of retroactively talk about this, it's always mentioned as this bloated cocaine excess album. I mean, the Gallaghers came from a very modest upbringing, so all of a sudden there were these huge rock stars were celebrated by millions and obviously made a huge pile of money with their first 2 albums. So yeah, they celebrated this success quite a bit with alcohol and drugs, and you can definitely hear it on this album. It's very long, so the kind of punky, rocking short songs are gone, and here they are going for that kind of Beatles psychedelic concept album stuff. I mean, it's not a concept album, but it has this huge long song all around the world, and then they reprise it in the end as kind of an outro, and every song is like over 5 minutes, some even longer. And I get why why people were turned off by it, and I agree that some songs are too long. Like there's a kind of psychedelic song called Magic Pie that goes on forever. Um, Even the lead single, "Do You Know What I Mean," is pretty long, has a very long build up. But I love that song. And yeah, it's a bit it's a bit to get through in one sitting. But I still think there are great songs on it that I totally love, and there are some deep cuts that are never mentioned that I totally like. I Hope I Think I Know and The Girl in the Dirty Shirt. I think those are two great album cuts that are a bit more reminiscent of the stuff that they did before. And I never hear anybody talk about those songs. Never really. I like other singles on here. "Don't Go Away," which is the ballad on here. I think Liam's "My Big Mouth" is pretty cool. Um, "Be Here Now" has this nice 60s organ riff going through it. So yeah, I still think if you like Oasis, there's a lot to love on this one. But yeah, it's definitely an excessive album, and they were never the same after this one. So you could make the argument that they kind of, yeah, that it was kind of a bricklayer in their career, so they never recovered from that one commercially. Or it still sold gazillion of albums after that. So I think they managed to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was also a bit too long when it came out. So it was a step down from the last one. Maybe because the first two were so great, it was hard to keep up for them. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, but I agree. There's still some outstanding tracks on it. Isn't Stand By Me on that one as well?
I think actually that's on Morning Glory,
Uh, really?
or it's on the debut, but it's
No, Stand By Me is not on the
no,
first
you're right.
album.
It's on this one.
Ah,
You're
okay.
right.
Okay. Good. So my second pick is maybe also as maybe not a despised album, but it's the reviews were very lukewarm when it came out, and it's often ranked last in their discography. And it's "Suck It and See" by the Arctic Monkeys. Here, it's a gatefold, nice picture of the guys. And yeah, I don't know. This has also some nostalgic value for me because I bought this when I moved to Mainz about 10 years ago. Um, and I think most of the songs are really, really good. So Alex Turner, I mean, we know that Alex Turner is a very good lyricist. And right from the start on whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not, for the first album, that was obvious. And I followed them along the way. And yeah, I like most of the songs here. Yeah, well, they have one big Black Sabbath inspired rocker that is not as good. It's called "Don't Sit Down Because I've Moved Your Chair." That's maybe the only song I don't really like here. It doesn't work. I mean, they can do heavy rock. Sometimes it worked on their previous album quite well. But here, the more quiet, ballady types of songs are the ones that shine the most, like "She's Thunderstorms," "The Hellcat Spangled Shalalala," or "Love is a Laser Quest," or also the title track, "Suck It and See." All great songs. I can really recommend this album. It's really good. And yeah, go and listen to it. It's not that bad as many say.
I just read a review of their first album, which I bought when it came out, and I can't really remember that record. That was the time when all these kind of British retro bands came out, like the Libertines and
Yes.
Franz Ferdinand and all those bands, and I bought a lot of them and listened to them in that time. But then very soon I got into other stuff, and I didn't really follow the Monkeys. I don't know any of their later albums, and I thought I have to check them out because I
Yeah,
hear a lot of good things about them. Um, I like their first single, "You Look Good on the Dance Floor," or what it was called.
I
That's the
bet that
only
you look good on the dance floor.
that's the only song that I can remember by them from that first album. So yeah, maybe that's a project for the future. We
There are
can
many great songs on that.
maybe we
Yeah,
can do a ranking.
yeah, yes, yes, of course. Yeah,
How
I think
many?
their big problem was they were overhyped a bit when they came out, and that can rub people the wrong way and say, no, who are these guys? Oh, they're not half as big as they think. No, not for me. So I can totally understand that, but I think this band totally deserved the attention because
That's
they're a good
that's
band.
the problem with a lot of those British bands because British press tends to overhype their own bands. But that wasn't. I don't really know what it was. So I never any problem with them. Maybe I just started listening to other music, or maybe maybe some album by a kind of band from that scene turned me off, and then I stopped buying the other bands as well. I don't really remember what it was. So yeah, but how many albums do they have?
I think seven, and there
Mm.
is one coming out now. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe that's a good opportunity to get into them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one I have is one I don't own, and it's an album by one of the most famous bands in the world. Maybe it's right. It's the most famous band active these days. It's the Rolling Stones, and the album I want to talk about is Black and Blue. That doesn't get a lot of love usually. It comes. I'd say it's kind of a transitional album for them. It comes after their classic phase. You might say that. So it comes after Goat's Head Soup and It's Only Rock and Roll, but I Like It. It's from 1976. That's a fact that kind of endears it to me because it's from the year I was born, and it gets into that vibe that they um, yeah that they tried out on their following album. So it has elements from disco and reggae and and it a complaint I hear often about it that it doesn't really have songs and it's more of a groove and vibe record, and I totally agree. Um, so the songs don't have that many parts. They are usually yeah just this groovy thing going with kind of repetitive riff going through it. There are no real melodies. Um, yeah, it's a very groovy album. But I somehow I like this vibe, and it has a great cover artwork as well. This great photograph of the guys in the fore and background, and it's a gatefold. So on the front you only see three of them. Um, some cool songs. Let me just check. I always forget the title. So Hot Stuff is kind of a mid-tempo disco song. Hand of Fate is a bit more of a classic rocker. I think Keith wrote that one. So that this is the song that everybody mentions as kind of an exception. Hey Negrita is also this funky thing. Fool to Cry is a ballad. I really like this album. And yeah, but I can understand why people who grew up with kind of the bluesy Stones or the album that they did around the turn of the decade from the 60s to the 70s, you know, that classic phase, why they are turned off by it. But yeah, I think it's a cool album, and the two records before I don't like that much. I think the rock sound, they grew a bit tired with it, and so it was a good opportunity for them to try something new. And for me, it worked on that record.
Hmm. Okay, I don't think I I've ever listened to it. I just know some of the hits,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
after that one, they always had kind of a disco song on their albums, and usually it was a single and a hit. So
yeah.
yeah,
But I think the disco stuff mostly worked for me. So
for me
I,
as well.
I like
Yeah,
the Stones doing disco.
yeah.
So okay, my number three is a band that doesn't get a lot of love. It's more the whole band than this album I picked. I also could have picked the other album because they have only two, and it is Tin Machine.
Hmm.
It is often considered by many a side project by David Bowie, which is totally untrue because all of the members have really a saying in the songwriting. Yeah, and they've made that clear right from the start. But they had a big problem. David Bowie was a big superstar. Everybody knew him. Everybody else was unknown. So the world was looking at David Bowie doing something with some guys. Okay, this must be his new project. But and the other problem was it's very different to what came before. I mean, Bowie often had experimental or artsy phases during his career, and this came out right after his pop phase in the 80s. Never Let Me Down and Let's Dance. So the expectations were totally different. And then came this band with a rather experimental approach. Yes, David Bowie is singing, but usually in most of the songs, his voice is not necessarily the center of the song because the guitar of Reeves Gabrels plays a major role in this band. And I just looked up their influences, which is quite interesting, which might help some people to understand this band better. They named as influences Gene Krupa, Charlie Mingus, Jimi Hendrix, Glenn Branca, Mountain, Cream, and the Jeff Beck Group. If you know this, you get a better understanding that this is also a guitar-centered band uh, with some vocals. So and I like this album. I also like their second album. And I totally understand that Bowie needed something to get out of this pop world because he got very in a depressive phase in the 80s and didn't know where to go. And then he met uh, um, what is this surname? The guitar player, Reeves Gabrels, and they founded this band together with the drummer and the bassist. They are brothers. All are Americans except David. And yeah, they great lyrics from David as well. The standout tracks to me are "I Can't Read," "Prisoner of Love," and yeah, and they covered "Working Class Hero" by John Lennon, and I think it's a really good version. And yeah, it is really music that is not very accessible. I get that, not as radio friendly as David was before, but it is really a great band. And what I think is also important about them, they are really one of the precursors of 90s alternative rock and grunge. And they are never mentioned in this context. Most people say Faith No More and the Pixies and Hysteria. Those were the 80s band that got us to the musical shift in the 90s. But Tin Machine, I would say, is also very important. I guess a lot of people founding bands later in the 90s listened to Tin Machine, I assume. You know.
Cool.
So great band.
I remember when that album came out, I was like 12 or 13. It's 89, right? Or is it 90?
Um, Let me check. I think a little bit earlier. 89, 89, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember when that came out, and maybe it's just me because I was young back then and didn't really have that overview about the music business and the scene. I just knew some musicians' names, but I also thought that this was kind of a super group, and I think I mixed them up with the Traveling Wilburys that came out at the same time.
Yes.
And I think a couple of months ago I looked up who the other guys were, and I just realized that no, they weren't the super group. That was just David Bowie with these guys he kind of met. So and I didn't even know that they had a second album. I thought that was just the one.
Yeah, it's called Tin Machine 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Nice. Cool to bring that up. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into some metal right now. It's time for some metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much of an introduction. This is just an album by a yeah, you could say it's a thrash band. I think they have other influences as well, so that makes them kind of stand out from that scene. But yeah, let's say they are a thrash band. They have a huge catalog. This year, a new album will be coming out. So in preparation for a ranking that's to come, I listened to their albums in the past couple of days, and this album is always near the bottom in the ranking. And I wouldn't say it has to be in the top spots. It would still probably be lower, but I really like it, and it has grown to me over the past 30 years. It's by Overkill, and it's I Hear Black.
Hmm.
It's from I think 1992 or 93, um, and so in 1990 they lost one of their founding members and lead guitarist Bobby Gustafson. I think there were internal struggles in the band. He wanted to go in a different direction than the other guys, so they kicked him out, and he got replaced by two guitarists. So from 1991 onwards, I think with just one exception, Overkill were always a five-piece with two guitarists, and this is the second album in that configuration. The one before, Horoscope from 1991, which to many is one of their highlights. Many place it on number one. Was a pretty straight thrash album. They always had kind of doomy elements, but in the 80s they always had a bit punky vibes and kind of rock and roll vibes as well. And they kind of got rid of them for most parts on Horoscope. On this one, they brought these influences back in and tried something different. So we are going into the alternative 90s with that one. And they bring in more influences from Doom. So there are a lot of Black Sabbath influences. They get a bit more melodic on this one. It's mostly a slower or mid-tempo album. There are not many thrashing songs on this one. And I know when it came out, I was kind of yeah, I thought, well, okay, this is their first misstep. So that not everything works on this album. Um, After this one, they ditched that again and got more harder. And throughout the rest of the 90s and early 2000s up until 2010, they did what some people might call groove metal, which I think I mentioned it before as a term I hate. I think it's stupid, but okay, I get why they yeah, why they were called or labeled that way. And I always liked Overkill for their melodies. Their singer has this cool high pitched voice, but he can still go deep. And he always came up with very unique hook lines and melodies, and they were always standing out from the rest of the thrash pack. And with that groove metal stuff, I think they lost a lot about what made them special in the first place. So while I don't think this is one of their best, I still think it's way underrated. And today, I love this one more than back in the day. And when I listened to it in the last couple of weeks, I was really surprised by how much I liked it, and that the songs I thought didn't work, I like them as well today. So yeah, if you always read that this one is a bad one in their discography, let me change your mind, try it out, and maybe you will have the same opinion as me that this is actually a pretty good album by them.
Interesting. How many albums do they have?
I think they have 20.
Wow.
A lot, yeah.
That's quite a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my pick number 4 is an album by Neil Young, and I think it's quite underrated. Of course, it is one of his 80s work, because he has many very strange records in the 80s. But this one is really good. It's called Trance. It's from 1982, I believe. And yeah, he's experimenting on this a lot, also with a vocoder. Most of the tracks have him singing through a vocoder, and I really like it. Yeah, it really gives the all the songs a special atmosphere, and also the whole album has a futuristic atmosphere. It's quite electronic inspired. He uses a lot of synthesizers, and you could say it is a precursor to techno music. He uses drum computers on some tracks, and most of the time it really works and it's interesting. The most famous tracks from this album are Computer Age, or I think he also Little Thing Called Love is played on the Unplugged album. That's maybe the most popular track from this. Yeah, and I think he was really kind of a visionary on this album, because I mean, which rock musician would do something like that in the 80s? I mean, that was really a step into a direction. And he said, I don't care what you think. I do what I want to do. I do what I think is interesting. He also did shows with Devo at this time. He was really connecting with some punk bands, as he famously said. Also in his famous song, he's singing about in My Hey Hey. He's singing about Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols. So he was always he understood it immediately. Not all of the 60s rockers said that about punk. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I like that about him, and I also like this album a lot. Sonic Youth are also a big fan of this album, and they covered a Computer Age, and I would say in this case their version is even better. I love it.
Mm.
So yeah, a really good and very underrated album, and I also love the album cover. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my copy, so that's
Is it the one with the convertible on the cover? Doesn't he have one with a car on the front cover, and he's standing there in a tuxedo or something?
No, that's not the one. No, it's a very futuristic cover. It's an 80s sci-fi cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I have to get into those albums. I don't know any of them. I just you know, you read a lot of stuff about this time, and there's been some re-evaluation by some people about these albums. I personally love it when someone does this and goes complete different direction from what he was doing, but it was supposed to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And if you grew up with Neil Young from the 60s and 70s, you would have had to made a big leap to get into this kind of music. So yeah, it was probably no surprise that so many people hated it.
Yeah,
Because
and yeah, but I
and
also do think that a lot of his 80s output, a lot of those albums are really quite bad. So,
okay, okay.
in my
Yeah,
opinion.
just a couple of weeks ago, I saw a documentary about Devo, and he was on there as well, and I didn't know that, so it was quite a surprise to see him between those weirdos.
Yeah, he's a weirdo as well.
Yeah, he is.
So,
He is. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, my next picks are all a bit in the same category, but I picked one out because I think I will get a lot of hate for it here, and hate is always good on YouTube. So this is an album that by a band that many people loved before this one. They started out as a new wave of British heavy metal band, although they today they say they never were metal and didn't belong to that scene. Got huge in the US. They always wanted to be big in the US, and they managed that with their third album. This is the fourth album. They took, I think, 4 years or 5 years to record it. And of course, it's Hysteria by Def Leppard.
mm,
And I I mentioned that very important Metal Hammer issue I owned, which helped me get into metal, and there were pictures of Def Leppard shirts. So that was the first time I knew about them, and then I always watched this TV show in Germany that was about music, Formel 1. I guess you remember it,
of course.
and they had this short segment about British and US charts where they were just running through the top 5 or top 10. And Def Leppard had a number one hit with the power ballad "Love Bites." So I saw that. I liked the short snippet I heard, and I bought the single, which came out in Germany, but of course it didn't make any impression on the German charts. And I loved it. And then I bought the album. I have it on vinyl, couldn't find it, so I bought it on CD as well. I love the cover artwork, and the cover artworks looks like the album sounds, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because this isn't a metal album anymore. It's yeah, it's this kind of weird computerized and polished rock. Um, it's overlong, and it was produced by Mutt Lang, and they had to. It was one of the problems they had going into this album was that their drummer had this car accident and lost his arm, and they didn't want to kick him out, so they had to find a way for him to play his drums, and of course he had to learn to play drums with just one arm, which I think is actually very endearing story that they held on to this guy, and he managed to play drums with just one arm. So they had to build him a special drum set, you know. And that was one of the problems they had to overcome. But if you hear this album, you also recognize what a painstaking effort it must have been to put this one together, because every song has like hundreds of tracks and effects and stuff going on, and it sounds like total technological overkill. And that's what I love about this album, because this is like the 80s in pocket format, you could say. um, I don't listen to that album from front to back because it's a bit too long, but it's also one of these albums that almost plays like a greatest hits album, because it has so many songs that were singles and are anthemic in a way. I like this one quite a bit, but I totally get why people who came from the or knew Def Leppard from their first albums uh, absolutely hate this one. And if you grew up with 70s rock music, you will have problems with an album sounding like this. So I totally get it. But still, I think this album is special, and it's cheesy in a way, you know, like a big blockbuster movie is cheesy. But sometimes cheesy is good. So I like this one for its overkill and its bloat and its dedication to make this kind of Star Wars as a rock album kind of thing.
Oh, nice. Good. So my last pick is from a band I really love. I own almost everything of them, and it's Weezer. They have also a lot of many despised albums, but I will pick this one because I think it is misunderstood the most, and it is Make Believe. It is their fifth album, and I never quite understood the hate they got for this. I think it has a lot to do with coming out with this first single, with this Boom Boom Chuck single called Beverly Hills, which is a very un-Weezer song. Yeah, it's a groovy song, and it has a background female background vocals. It's very cheesy, but also funny at the same time. I think the lyrics are hilarious, and they also made a video on Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion. I mean, Weezer is really the last band you could imagine doing this, so that was funny as well. And I think their fan base was really totally pissed about that, and it was some kind of betrayal for them because Weezer went into this old school rock star world. And I think Weezer have always been a very ironic band, and they are also very ironic in this song, even though we Rivers admitted that especially Beverly Hills, the the idea for the song came from a real place. It wasn't meant as a joke in the first place, but it turned out to be one. I mean, a lot of the songs work like that in the Weezer world. And yeah, people hated it. They hated the whole album. They maybe they expected something like Pinkerton. I think some of the songs are a little bit like Pinkerton and are very. Some of the songs are very introspective and not that great. I mean, I checked yesterday if I still like the album or maybe I thought maybe it's really bad and I just don't remember it, but I really still love it. There are two tracks on it I hate. Yeah, I get that. They have some moments. I don't like Freak Me Out about the spider. It really super silly lyrics, and yeah, it's not really much of a song. And I really hate My Best Friend, which was written for the Shrek 2 soundtrack and rejected. Um, yeah, I never liked that one. But the rest is really good. Perfect situation. Yeah, it's a very commercial Weezer song. I get it. Compared to Pinkerton and also compared to other songs from their fourth album before this. But but I mean, Rivers can write such songs. Why not? It's great. And also, We Are All on Drugs is also a super commercial song for Weezer that might also have rubbed people the wrong way. It also took me some time to like it, but then I said, hey, this is a fun song. Why not? Why can't they do different things they haven't done before? So, and this is such a pity. Is a super retro 80s song, which is great. Haunt You Every Day is an Elton John like ballad. I think Rick Rubin, who produced this album, told Rivers to write an Elton John a piano ballad. And this is what Rivers came up with. And it is Elton John like, but it is a great song. Haunt You Every Day. I love it. And yeah, I think this is certainly not in the top three, but I think it is one of the better albums of the later catalog. Yeah, and I don't know. Most people hate it. There, I've heard one famous musician say something positive about this, and that was Julian Casablancas from the Strokes. He also loves this album.
Yeah,
So
I had the same. Actually, I had a Weezer album picked out for this show as well, but I decided not to bring it in because I don't think it's that hated. But it's usually everyone says they have these first two albums that are great, and after that everything is kind of a rehash or too silly or too commercial or whatever. So I had the Green album,
mhm.
which I like, but I also when this one came out, Make Believe, I was wondering why everyone was hating it so much. I mean, maybe the fact that Rick Rubin produced it,
Yeah,
and it was obviously communicated before. I think that people thought that he would take them back to their early sound because that's what he often does. And instead, we got an even more polished version.
yeah, that's
Uh,
right. That's a good point. Yeah,
so
yeah,
maybe that was a problem, but I mean, you could hear it in his earlier or in the earlier records that at heart they were always kind of a silly teenage pop band, um, championing Kiss and Van Halen and stuff like that. So for them to go in that direction wasn't that big of a surprise for me, and I thought they always had the songs. So, but I haven't checked out their more recent albums, so I will have to do that as well. That would be another nice show, actually.
yeah. Of course, we definitely have to do Weezer. That's
Yeah, yeah,
no question for me.
yeah.
So
But it always also shows how iconic they were with those first two albums, and
yes,
especially in the United States. I mean, they never were a big thing in Germany.
no,
Um,
unfortunately not.
they haven't played here for ages, live, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and when they play here, I think I've seen them a few years ago in Amsterdam and
yeah,
once in Berlin. And I mean, it was good to see them, but it was mostly just greatest hits shows,
yeah.
which for me as a fan was quite disappointing.
Okay,
So, but but still, they were here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. So do you have anything left? Because I have something that I could bring up.
Yeah, I have some honorable mentions, but you go
Okay,
first.
then let me do this one, and you can do the encore.
Okay.
So I decided to bundle the next picks together because they are all this kind of same phenomenon, and it's what I talked about when I spoke about Def Leppard. It's bands from the 70s who were known for this, very organic rock sound, and like so many of those in the 80s, they were dabbling with synthesizers and went more commercial, and usually these albums always come up when talking about disappointing stuff. So I will start with this band, and it's actually two albums. It's Triumph.
Hmm.
um, this one is from '86, I think, The Sport of Kings, and this one, Surveillance, came after that one. And Triumph are, of course, this Canadian power trio. Started in the '70s as this kind of hard rock. They also had elements from boogie in their music, but it was all straight rock music. And then in the '80s, times were changing. So this album is an AOR album. It's very melodic, very poppy. Not much guitar on it. This one it gets a bit more rocking again, but it's still this very very keyboard driven stuff and melodic stuff. And I love both albums. I love this kind of sound, this from 85 to 88, this kind of AOR sound. It's very it it pulls a trigger with me. It always brings me back to that time, and I totally love that sound. And I think even if you don't like the sound, they were still good, very good songwriters. So you have great hooks on here. To me, these albums are great. Might even like them a bit more than their earlier stuff because I don't have a thing for this boogie type rock and roll. So this one, and then of course, and I picked one out. I could have gone with two others. Power Windows by Rush. Pretty much the same thing. Of course, they started experimenting with synthesizers on the albums before, but here this has hardly any guitars on it. On a couple of songs, you hear Alex Lifeson soloing, and but it's mostly a synthesizer album. It has a very prominent bass sound. I love that one. Very typical for the 80s. Lots of reverb on the vocals, on the drums. Still, the songs are there. People who grew up with their 70s prog albums think this is way too cluttered and synthetic, and I get it. But I mean, there's a song called Marathon on this one, and I love it. It's a beautiful song, and I like I mentioned, I like that sound. I can't help myself. I get why people from the 70s have problems with it, but I'm an 80s kid, so I love it. And then, of course, another band that fits this category, Blue Öyster Cult, Revolutions by Night and Club Ninja. People absolutely hate this one. It has been rehabilitated in the last couple of years by some people, but for me, I love this one a bit more. And it has this sound. It's more rocking, more guitars on it, but it's a lot more cleaner produced than what they did in the 70s. It's not that weird anymore. The first Blue Öyster Cult albums are kind of weird. And this one is very commercial, but there are so many great songs. Take Me Away, Eyes on Fire. I love Shooting Shark. That's when I heard it the first time with that pulsing bass groove, I fell in love with it. So I love this album. Certainly not their best. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I get why people have problems with it, but I really like it.
I recently listened to it for the first time. I have to get more into it, but I also immediately liked it.
Yeah.
So don't get it, but yeah, I think it's once more the expectations people have.
Yeah, and
Just make
sometimes
something better.
it's good to to get into. We have a different perspective. I didn't know Blue Öyster Cult. I bought their whole catalog at once. I have this box set with all their albums up until Imaginos, and I could listen to them in one go. So I didn't experience them in real time, and all of a sudden there's this break in style. So I knew what I was getting into. So yeah, that always plays a role. But I get why people who started listening to them in the 70s and then got this album were kind of turned off.
Yeah. Okay, I also have some honorable mentions very quickly. A moment, let me check. So yeah, I would also say the Never Say Die album from Black Sabbath is also hated by many people, and also to some extent technical Ecstasy. Also, I don't get it. I think both are very good to great albums to me. So I don't get the hate. They're very different, but I
Yeah,
think we might talk on this in the
we
upcoming Black Sabbath ranking.
we might.
So another album I want to mention is One Hot Minute by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which didn't get a lot of love back in the day. This was the album after their big album, after Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic, and John Frusciante had to leave the band, and Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction is coming in, and I think he was actually quite a good fit for the Peppers. Yeah, I think he's a first class guitar player, of course. Um, I really like the album. It is really a playful album. Um, I don't think there is anything wrong with it. So he totally fits. I don't know. Maybe they didn't get along that well. I don't know. Maybe that was the issue. I mean, he was only there for this one album. Then he had to leave for some reason. I don't know about the details, but yeah, I like it. I also like the album cover.
It wasn't that. I think it wasn't that successful. Obviously, I mean,
No,
coming after Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic,
no,
and then the next one was Californication, wasn't it?
I think the next one, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
after the
and
return of John Frusciante.
so commercially, the switch made total sense because yeah, they recovered from that flop, you could say. But I don't know this album that well. But and I don't really like the Chili Peppers that much. Um, I think they're a bit annoying. Um, but if I would check one album out, it would be this one because the fact that it's this outlier makes it interesting instantly for me. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nee, and I get, I mean, afterwards, when Californication came out, I think everybody understood better how essential John Frusciante is for this band, for his
Mm.
songwriting. It was kind of, yeah, he was one of the main guys in the band, yeah. If he's missing, of course, that would change the sound, but still, they made a very good record. So
Yeah.
okay, my other pick is another Weezer album I could have picked is Raditude. It's also a very hated album, and it's probably their worst. I still like it. I love the first song, the opener. If you're wondering if I want you to, I want you to. It's really a kick-ass song, very great. Then for, a lot of what is following is quite mediocre, but still okay. And yeah, there's a bonus disc involved here, which contains a very strong track again. The rest is mediocre, but yeah, I still like it.
But really, all of their albums after the probably after the green one were hated when they came out, right? I think
Yeah,
the red
yeah.
one was hated as well, and
Lukewarm reactions to hate it, so
yeah,
between that.
yeah, right. It was
And
got kind of a running gag to shit on Weezer's
yeah,
albums.
yeah. Some were a little bit celebrated, like the one with the monster on the cover.
Yeah, but
How was it called?
I don't
I
know,
don't remember it at the moment.
but that
That
was pretty
was
late.
that was pretty late. That was called quite a return to form. I I would say yes, but we talk about that in the Weezer upcoming Weezer ranking. I would say
Okay, good idea.
no
Yeah,
spoilers here. um, yeah. Do I have other honorable mentions? Yeah, I also could have picked from Neil Young the album Hawks and Doves. It's an early '80s album um, where he's experimenting a little bit and a few there are a few very quiet nice ballads on it that are kind of overlooked and that are I really appreciate them a lot. Songs like Captain Kennedy or um, the first more quiet ballads are really close to my heart. and this album is not as bad as people think.
Cool. So what do we learn by that? Don't believe the hate.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's always worth giving these supposedly bad albums a try because hey, you might like it actually.
yeah,
And going
yeah.
into an album thinking it's bad is most of the time it helps to think, hey,
True.
it's not that bad. Why is everyone shitting on it
Yes.
so
Yeah.
hard? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's right.
yeah.
But that doesn't say there is no objectively bad music. It still can exist.
Okay, that's a topic
So,
for another show.
yes.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
So, yeah, that was the show. Thanks for joining in. And if you liked it, please subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye
Give us your
bye.
comments. Give us your comments.
Yes, we need your comments. We need your comments.
Bye.
Bye.